The streets were unusually silent that night. A thin fog crept across the sidewalks, swallowing the glow of the streetlights. Daniel adjusted the strap of his worn-out backpack and tightened his grip on the plastic bag of groceries. He had just finished his second shift at the grocery store, and though his body ached, he forced himself to keep moving. He was a single father, and responsibility didn't end just because he was tired. Inside that little apartment a few blocks away was his son, Jacob, his whole reason for living. 8 years old, curious, and full of questions about the world. Daniel had promised himself, no matter how hard life became after losing his wife, he would never let Jacob feel abandoned. He would be there, both father and mother, even if it meant carrying the weight of the world alone. But on that cold night, life had another plan. As Daniel walked past the old bus stop that had been unused for months, something made him pause. At first, he thought it was just an abandoned blanket, thrown carelessly on the bench. But then it moved. He took a cautious step closer. His breath caught in his throat. 2 tiny girls were huddled together, shivering, their arms wrapped around each other for warmth. They were barefoot, dressed in torn clothes that looked more like rags than anything else. Their faces were streaked with dirt and dried tears. One of them clutched her sister tightly, whispering words of comfort as if she were the only thing keeping her safe in the world. Daniel's chest tightened. His fatherly instincts screamed louder than his exhaustion. "Hey," he said softly, crouching down so he wouldn't frighten them. "Are you okay?" The girls flinched. The older one pulled her sister closer, eyes wide with fear. We don't have anywhere to go," the younger whispered, her voice so small it nearly broke Daniel's heart. He swallowed hard. He knew struggle. He knew hunger. But seeing children like this, completely abandoned, no home, no family, no hope, hit him in a place he couldn't ignore. Without thinking twice, he shrugged off his jacket and wrapped it around them. "It's okay," he said, his voice gentle. "You're safe now." A father's choice. The walk back home felt longer than ever. Daniel carried one of the twins in his arms while the other clung to his hand. They were so light it startled him, as though they hadn't eaten properly in weeks. When Jacob opened the apartment door and saw them, his eyes widened. "Dad, who are they?" Daniel knelt to his son's level. "These girls need a place to stay, buddy. Just for tonight." Daniel knelt to his son's level. "These girls need a place to stay, buddy. Just for tonight." Jacob's face lit up with excitement. "Then they can be my sisters tonight." Daniel smiled weakly, though inside he worried. He was already barely holding things together: rent, bills, food, long hours at work. How could he possibly take in 2 more children? But then he looked at the twins, they're tiny. Sometimes love doesn't ask for permission. First days of struggle. The next morning revealed the weight of his choice. Daniel had no extra clothes for them, no proper shoes, no toys, not even enough food to make the breakfast he had promised Jacob. He poured the little milk he had into 4 glasses instead of 2, spreading thin the cereal across the bowls. The girls, whose names he soon learned were Lily and Rose, ate slowly at first, almost as if they didn't trust the food was really for them. Then, once they realized no one was going to take it away, they devoured it hungrily. Daniel watched in silence. His heart ached, but it also stirred something else inside him: determination. Unveiling their past. Over the next few days, the girls revealed bits and pieces of their story. Their parents had fallen deep into addiction, spending everything they had. At first, the girls had bounced between relatives and strangers, but eventually, no one wanted them. They ended up in a shelter, frightened and lonely, before running away. Daniel couldn't imagine the fear they must have felt, 2 little girls against the world. No clothes. No home. No hope. And now, somehow, they were his responsibility. The weight of responsibility. Daniel's life became a storm of challenges. His small apartment was cramped, his paycheck barely stretched enough for food, and now the bills piled even higher. He skipped dinners so the kids could eat. He walked miles instead of paying for gas. He sold his old watch, his only keepsake from his father, just to buy second-hand clothes for the girls. At night, when the kids were asleep, Daniel sat at the kitchen table staring at overdue notices, wondering if he had made a mistake. He loved the girls, but was love enough when survival demanded money? One night, as he buried his face in his hands, a soft voice startled him. "Daddy?" He looked up. Rose stood there, clutching her teddy bear. No one had called him that in years, not even Jacob, who simply called him Dad. That single word shattered his doubt. In her eyes, he wasn't just a man who found them. He was their protector, their hope, their family. He pulled her close and whispered, "I'll never let you go." A miracle in small things. Weeks passed, and slowly the house began to change. It was no longer filled with silence and struggle, it echoed with laughter. Lily and Rose decorated their room with drawings. Jacob proudly introduced them as his sisters at school. One Saturday, the three children surprised Daniel. On the floor was a painting of their new family, Daniel, Jacob, Lily, and Rose holding hands under a bright sun. Above it, in shaky handwriting, the words, "Thank you for saving us." Daniel wept openly. For so long, he had thought he was the one carrying the weight. But in truth, they were giving him something he had lost: joy, family, and purpose. The community began to notice. A kind woman from church dropped off groceries. An anonymous envelope appeared in their mailbox with $50 inside. Slowly, help trickled in, not because Daniel asked for it, but because people were moved by his sacrifice. Months passed. The family began to feel real. They celebrated birthdays with homemade cakes, laughed during board games, and even fought like siblings. Liam started to smile again. Sophie showed her drawings proudly. Noah became Daniel's little shadow. And Grace learned to sleep through the night without fear. Then, one day, a woman in an expensive suit came to the repair shop asking for Daniel. She introduced herself as an attorney, representing someone connected to the children. Daniel's stomach dropped. He feared they were going to be taken away. The truth, however, shocked him. Their mother had lived modestly, but she had been hiding a secret. She was the estranged daughter of a wealthy family and heiress. Out of pride and pain, she had walked away from wealth to raise her kids in a simple life. Now that she was gone, the inheritance had been found, and the children were heirs to a vast fortune. Daniel's first thought wasn't about money. It was about losing them. Would this wealthy family take them away? Would they be raised by strangers just because of bloodlines and bank accounts? He sat in silence, fists clenched, as the children clung to his arms. But then something remarkable happened. The lawyer, seeing the bond they shared, realized the truth. These children didn't just need security, they needed love. The court granted Daniel guardianship. The inheritance would be managed in trust for the children, but Daniel would remain their father in every way that mattered. The money eased their struggles, no more threats of eviction, no more empty pantries, but it didn't change Daniel. He still fixed cars. He still made pancakes on Sundays. He still tucked each child in with a kiss and a whispered prayer. Years later, on his birthday, the children surprised him with a cake that read, "The Dad Who Saved Us All." Daniel tried to laugh, but tears spilled down his face. He realized something profound. He had thought he was saving them, but in truth, they had saved him. They had filled his empty house with love, his lonely days with laughter, and his weary heart with hope. And so, dear viewers, when you hear the story of a single dad who took in 4 orphans, remember this: it wasn't just about survival. It was about building a family out of broken pieces, about choosing love when life gave every reason to give up, and about the hidden blessings that come when you open your door and say, "You are not alone." Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think of Daniel's choice? Could you imagine doing the same in his shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments below, I read every single one of them. And if this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope.